Hey y'all, this is Moni.
And this is Kat.
Hey Kat. And this is the Fake Ass Book Club. Wait, can we both say it or no?
So, welcome back to the show, you guys. It's your girl, Moni.
And this is Kat.
Hey, Kat.
Hey, Moni.
You look cute. I like
So
the
do
hair.
you. Thank you. Like, it's just vibes.
It
It's
is
just
vibes.
vibes. It's holiday. Let's get ready for the coziness vibes. And try to keep it real soft and trying to keep the buttons from popping.
Listen, this is why I have on an oversized sweater smock.
Cozy situation.
Listen, I got the cowl neck, turtleneck boy on. It's so cozy. It's like a chenille sort of sweater. I'm into it, friends. Definitely time to get cozy. We're in the Midwest. It's getting cold, you guys. It has been freezing cold these last week and a half or so, 2 weeks. And
For whatever reason, it's 52 today, though.
it's
Fahrenheit.
so weird. Fahrenheit, yeah. This is an ode to the Midwest, just the spastic weather that we experience during this time of year, because it could very well be 50 up until, after the new year sometimes, and then sometimes it's Arctic weather. It's whatever, but
You
we're
gotta
here.
check it every day.
You literally have to look before you leave the house. You do not want to be surprised with an ice storm. Yeah, so with all that, you guys, we're not actually here to talk about the weather, but we are here to talk about a couple of children's books today. My friend Kat kind of tapped in last week saying, she kind of misses the whole reading to her kids kind of situation. I know that was a big part of my kids' experience, especially when they were really small. I read to them all the time. And so recommended that we tapped in on a couple of children's books. So we're actually going to be reviewing two. The first one is Into the Uncut Grass by Trevor Noah. And the other one is You Are Actually Quite Small by Kelly Collette. And I'm first going to give you guys, look at that. If you're on YouTube, Kat just held up the second book that I mentioned by Kelly Collette. I'm going to first give you guys, we're going to talk about them separately. So we're going to get into Trevor Noah's book first, Into the Uncut Grass. So allow me to give you a brief synopsis of this book. Into the Uncut Grass revolves around a boy and his journey into the magical, untamed landscape where he learns vital lessons about connection, compromise, and the complexity of relationships. Illustrated by Sabrina Hahn, the book combines lyrical storytelling with vibrant visuals, making it an engaging read for both children and adults. And if you guys aren't patrons, you should go to our Patreon at Patreon.com/The Fat Podcast. Kat reads the entire book on there, which is really sweet. She does a really great job. This book, like I said, is written by Trevor Noah, and it was published October the 8th of 2024, and it's about a 40-page book and almost maybe a 40-minute audiobook read if you read it or listen to it. Trevor Noah is a South African comedian, writer, producer, and political commentator, and he might be best known as the host for his tenure at The Daily Show on Comedy Central. He was born February the 20th, 1984 in Johannesburg, South Africa. He grew up during the apartheid era, a period that greatly shaped his perspective and humor. His mixed-race heritage, his mother is Black and Xhosa. I can't do the accent, you guys.
Xhosa.
I'm not even going to try. His father is white, Swiss German, and it led to a unique challenge and experience that he later chronicled in his acclaimed memoir, Born a Crime, which we read, oh my gosh, on this podcast and reviewed. So check that episode out if you haven't. And so now, in addition to his memoir, we have Into the Uncut Grass, which we're going to review now. So what did you think about the book, friend?
I liked it.
It was so sweet.
It reminds me so much of days going to the library with my kids and picking out a book. And it's always fun. It's still fun now, but there's just something special about picture books.
I love it so much. Okay, so since I read all that stuff, do you mind giving the people just a brief synopsis of the story? Just giving them the little beat by beat?
Oh, yeah.
It's quick.
Oh, it's so cute.
Yeah.
It's every kid. It's about that time you ran away from home. And just about how unfair it feels to be a kid and constantly being told what to do. It reminds me very much of having the angel and the devil on your shoulder, and the little boy's the devil and the little bear Walter is the angel, being well, your mom has a point. Your breath does stink when you don't brush your teeth. So
she ain't lying.
So you're going back and forth with that. And then I don't want to even spoil the last line of the book. That was my favorite part.
Oh,
where
it was sweet.
It's like,
It was sweet.
but yeah, you should go listen to it on Patreon.
Absolutely. So, you said everybody's had that moment where we've run away from home.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear your story. I don't think I've ever heard.
Oh,
you tell
it
me
was
if
lame. I don't think I ever even got that far. I don't think I
What'd
made
you
it down
do,
the block.
girl?
But everyone just is frustrated and packs a bag and tell themselves they're gonna leave.
Oh,
but
I've done it. And I mean, of course, I didn't run away. My version of running away was going into. There was a garage that wasn't attached to our house, and I just hid out back there. And then I was trying to figure out why nobody was looking for me.
Right.
I was looking around so no one even cares. This is exactly what I suspected. But also too, I mean, just like in the book, you realize, okay. All the good stuff is here where I live. So, I don't even know where the hell was I going to go anyway?
Right.
Where was I going to go?
It does get very, it just really does tap into that energy of when you were little of how unfair it all felt.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
I think it's important. So so this to me reminds me of the chasm between old school parenting and more new age parenting, because, there's this sense of, I would say our parents and their parents, the way that they grew up, it was very much do what you're told. You don't get to ask questions. You certainly don't get to
you're seen and not heard.
Yeah. And
no talking back.
No talking back, no questioning or anything like that. And to me, this book kind of taps into a two-way dialogue, which I think is something that if you are maybe our age and younger, you hear about that in parenting styles now. But people older than us, that is not something that they ever were exposed to or even really, I think, look at as valuable.
Right.
So I want to know from you, what do you think that the way that you raised your kids, I know that you're a very open person, that you have an open dialogue with your kids. Do you think you got pushback or judgment from older people in your life or other parents, in terms of just
that's
the way
just part of the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's always that. I was lucky though. I grew up, when I was raising my son, I lived with my grandmother a lot of that time, and she mostly just talked shit about me to my aunt. I didn't even have to hear it. So to me, I feel like that's the best way to go about it.
Just talk shit behind your back.
Yeah,
and
get
keep
it out
moving.
your system and stuff. And then my aunt came up with a really good retort, which is, my grandmother had 3 kids. She's like, you had 3 chances to raise kids. This is Kat's turn. So it's she would kind of just shut that down. So that'd just be kind of the vibes.
Yeah.
What about, oh wait, do you want to do the dedication before we go too deep?
We really did. So should we wait? We're so excited. That's crazy. Okay. You guys, before
we get too deep.
Before we get too deep, okay, because clearly we're super
We're
excited. Let's dedicate this episode, guys, because we gotta stay true to it. We're not new to it, but we're acting like we new to it. But hands over your hearts, everyone. Welcome back, and thank you so much, you guys. We want to take this time to specifically shout out our patrons. Thank you so much for your continued support as we pull up on another calendar year of doing this fabulous podcast. We really do count on your support, so thank you so much. Also, I wanted to dedicate this to all my December boos, all my Sagittariuses out there, specifically my mom. I love you. Happy birthday. My little cousin. Maybe your mama don't want me saying your name on this podcast, but happy birthday. Also to one of my loves and friends, Terasai, happy birthday to you. Love you. Thank you so much for sharing your family with me. It meant so much to me that you wanted me to meet your mom, your sister. Shout out to Amanda.
And your cousin again.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Love you guys so much. You made the most. First of all.
Oh, and actually, and I'm also sorry for stealing your Apple Pencil. I got to get that back to her.
Get that back.
Listen, all this stuff looks the same, but her name is literally engraved in this.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I gotta get that back. My bad.
Listen,
or actually, it's not even my bad. That's your cousin's fault. She handed it to me. So
Listen.
I take no accountability.
Thank you guys. Love you. What about you, friends?
Yes, and to all of that, my dedication this week is going out to the Brandon Peters show, who had me on as a guest, and I got to nerd out about sci-fi spinoffs. So I'm gonna put that in the notes in case anybody wants to check it out. But if you'd like to see, either me or him next Saturday, December 14th, you should go to the IN podcast panel that me and Moni will be hosting, or Moni and I will be hosting, if I say it grammatically correct, about consistency in podcasting.
Absolutely.
Nailed it. Dedication over.
Yes. And to your dedication, Brandon, thank you for geeking out with my friend because I didn't want to have to do it. So I appreciate you.
I so much to talk about.
That's what's up. But I am excited to talk about this book. So let's pick up where we left off.
Okay.
We were just talking about, we were talking about running away.
Mm-hmm.
My running away story was stupid.
No, we were talking about like parental pushback to letting the kids ask us questions.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I feel judged a little bit when it comes to the older people in my life in relation to, just my parenting style. But I think it's just because I am not a straight up authoritarian. Like, I think when it comes down to it, yes, right? Because there's certain things that I'm like, yeah, no, we're not arguing or talking about this at all. But, day-to-day stuff, like, for the most part, when there's nothing at stake, like, I don't mind explaining stuff to my children. Like, I don't mind taking that extra step to, sometimes say why. But then I do explain to them that, like, that is a luxury sometimes that I don't have, whether that's a resource of time or even if it's just a resource of patience. Yeah, you know what I mean? So there are times where it's like, yeah, I get where that's maybe not valuable or even feasible. But I do think, like I said, just in my everyday life when I'm moving around with my kids, even though it is annoying sometimes to feel like I'm explaining myself to a child, it's like they're still people. And sometimes having that little extra bit of patience for your kids does, I think that a lot of the time what we take as our kids being disrespectful in terms of like questioning us or asking questions is genuine curiosity. When I think about the fact that they literally know nothing. Like, how would they know? If I don't explain it to them, how will they know? And so for me, it's like, yeah, I want to have patience for them because there's going to be times where I'm asking for that from them. Because just how I might freak out about something, they freak out about stuff too.
Sure. It's just
and so
remember how scary life is.
It is.
And I also have to remember, too, I'm not raising children or rearing children, if I want to be grammatically correct. I'm rearing adults. Like, I want them to become adults. So I think I know something I struggled with because I did, like most, like old school stuff, like it was more authoritarian. But the problem is once you get older and have to start making your own decisions, you don't really know how to do that. And so it's really much better to like learn that decision making process when the stakes are lower. Then and it is hard to watch your kids take L's, but that's part of life. So you want them to get that feeling of, ooh, I made this move and I didn't like it. Much like the little boy who went off into the uncut grass. I imagine in the story, the mom probably kind of had an eye on that situation.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, I know you out there in that garage looking silly. You going to be hungry soon. That's how I know you coming back.
Right. And generally that is how you kind of maintain order. You're going to need me before I need you.
Yeah.
So as long as that's the case, you're going to respect what I'm providing for you. At the same time, I'm going to respect you too because you're a person. I invited you to the party. So I'm not just gonna like leave you hanging.
No, but okay. So what did you think about the main character in the book? He seemed
little boy.
Yeah, he was so enthusiastic about life. He actually reminded me a lot of both of my kids and my husband at the same time. They all three, wake up every day, busting the curtains open, like glad to see the sunshine. Like, yes, what adventure do we have awaiting us? And I'm more like Walter the bear. Like, I just thought maybe I could sleep until I woke up.
Yeah, like I said, I really do. You got that dichotomy of the two, the angel and the devil on your shoulder where you got there's just that, bicameral like mindset of both of those things. That discussion that's going on inside you all the time. Yeah. Because, of course, it's his little bear. That's also him.
Yeah, it is.
You're voicing your toy. You voice your toys and you're having this dialogue of like, okay, yes, I know mom wants, this, but why does she get to control everything? She's wrong so much.
Yeah, and then she's boring.
Yes.
Like, I just want to be free. I do remember feeling like that, though, but I wanted to ask you, too, because I have really distinct feelings that I remember toward being an adult when I was a child. And I feel like I've asked you this before. Before the people, I wanted to ask you, like, when you were a kid and you were looking at being an adult, like, what was the purview? What did you think about it? What were your
Yeah, I
impressions?
was excited about it. Like, I
Yeah.
really wanted to just like, okay, I'm gonna like have ice cream for dinner, and like just thinking of all the things I'm gonna do when I'm an adult. Like, I'd be looking at the JCPenney catalog, and I'm like, I'm gonna have that bedspread, and I'm gonna have that furniture, and I'm gonna have a baby, and I'm gonna, just being an adult seemed like the shit.
Like you had the control.
Right. And it wasn't until later when I'm just like, oh, a lot of it is just buying toiletries. Like, you just, like, you have to, I think the Misfits said it well from Gem and the Holograms. It takes a lot to survive in this world.
Wow.
They had a whole song about it, y'all.
Don't sing it. Not now, friend.
But I'm an
Not
adult.
now. It's about compromise.
See,
That's what this
to
book
me-
was about.
To me, that's what I thought adulthood was.
No,
like,
it's
ultimate
not.
friend. It takes a lot.
I said no.
But that's the whole thing, is like, you don't get a whooping now.
It's true.
Like, if
Right, people just ghost you now. You're like, you know what? I'm tired
they'll
of
be
this
like,
shit.
unsubscribe.
Right, and we're out.
Like,
That's
but
funny.
yeah, I thought to me that was very much something I wanted to be big. I remember that was how, like, a big part of how my parents potty trained me, because they told me that BMs would make me big and strong.
Ooh.
So I was always really empowered.
Dropping deuces.
Yes. Yes, it would
One
be
for the
really
streets.
excited because, and I believe my parents, and I mean, they're right. I mean, it's part of it. So it's like, yeah, I'm getting stronger every day. Like, I wanted to be like the Hulk. Like,
Yeah.
I wanted to, like, just like the Incredible Hulk and just,
Smash.
yeah, smash through the world. But yeah,
Wow.
what about you?
I
What were
can
your
see that
feelings
about you. I can see that. That tracks, friend. So for me, I don't know. Like, I felt like I wasn't not excited about it, but I also felt like it looked both like a scam a little bit. Because I don't know. I just the people who were grown up that I observed, it seemed like there was always a lot going on. And they didn't seem particularly happy or excited. You know what I mean? And it was like, I mean, for the most part, I felt like, I mean, my mom cooked food all the time. Like, there was always, there was food, there was snacks. Even when there wasn't, it's like, I had my brothers. I don't know. Like, I felt safe, and I felt like my job is playing.
You're
so
like, this
I'm
is the
looking
life.
at what my mom has to leave and go do.
Yeah.
That doesn't look more fun than what
Because you
I've
said
got.
you didn't like baby dolls. Like,
No,
you
I
said that.
wasn't
It's like, that's not fun.
babies.
And see, I love me a baby doll. I would save up my money to go buy, like, baby dolls. Like, that was...
Swerve.
It's like, seriously, like, learned how to look up the number for Toys R Us so I could call and see if they had, like, the black one in stock before we went up there.
No.
'Cause-
That also looked like a setup. Parenthood, motherhood. I was like, yeah, so basically y'all want me bored, boring, and oppressed, because now I got to take this baby doll everywhere I go. I'm supposed to be changing her clothes. What about my clothes? Okay, I want to look fly. Forget about this baby.
So if
okay?
we were young in modern times, I would totally fall for the trad wife trend.
Yeah,
And
no
you would
way.
be like, 2 thumbs down.
I would be like, no, I never fantasized about being a mom, really. I mean, I guess I thought, like, I wasn't looking through like, oh, this is gonna be my life. I wanted to leave it open. I'm like, I really don't know. When I pictured my 40-year-old self, like, flipping through calendars, looking at the year, and I used to be like, dang, I'm gonna be 30. That'll be weird. I wonder how I'll be at 30. I never really had any clear answers on what that would be like. I was totally like, well, I guess we'll find out. I mean,
See when we get
yeah,
there.
but I don't know. Like, being an adult always seemed scary because it's like you're supposed to have all the answers and stuff. I was like, I don't know. I mean, there was aspects that I thought would be
I
awesome.
just assumed I'd have the answers then.
Yeah.
Like, I just, because I would be, like, scared and confused like a child.
Sure.
But I'm like, the adults seem to, I guess I wasn't, the difference was my dad seemed really happy. Like,
there you go.
he was really, he still was, like I said, I was only child, so my dad was kind of my playmate. So to me, I was just like, oh yeah, I'll be like this dude. Like, my mom, on the other hand, was the responsible one in the marriage. So
That shit don't look fun
that,
at all.
there's always got to be that person.
It could be both, but whatever.
You can't have 2 fun people in a marriage. Like,
I mean, why can't you be fun and responsible is all I'm saying. Like,
I don't
how come
know.
that doesn't go together.
I didn't come up
digress.
with existence. I don't know why.
Need
I
answers,
wish
Kat.
I would change. I'd change. I told you before what I would change.
Yeah, you did.
Like, first thing on the list.
And get
It's like,
rid
we
of
don't
it.
need to do this
Get
every
rid
month.
of it. Yeah.
Like,
I mean, there was points of it that I was excited. It wasn't until I was a teenager and at the precipice of like being able to get out of the house that I was like, okay, yeah, I think I'm ready for this. Because it was more, that's when it was like, okay, yeah, freedom. You know what I mean? But when I was small though, I was just like,
why would I want to change this up?
Yeah, this seems great. I mean, I'm okay with all this. I'm having a great time.
And I think because there was that aspect of my life where it was still very authoritarian. Like a popular saying was, you're just a little girl and it's not up to you. So I wanted to get out of that because I was in a lot of situations I didn't want to be in, and I didn't get a say in it. So I was looking forward to freedom.
Yeah.
To me, adulthood equaled freedom, but freedom is never free. Like there's always a trade-in. There's always a So
I really liked it.
But I loved this book though. I really enjoyed it, and I wanted to definitely do like kids books because I think they make such good Christmas gifts. Because there's that temptation to get kids a bunch of toys, and toys are great, and video games are great. But these kids need to be reading. Our society getting dumber is bad.
It's a bad situation, and it could be fun. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think that was the thing. Like, I feel like I wish that we saw more examples of like being responsible and having fun because, of course, nothing's 100%. Like you said, there's always a cost to be the boss or whatever. But just, like this podcast even, like we get to talk about books. We get to talk about different themes and impart lessons, but we're like drinking champagne.
Yeah. That's a great part of adulthood.
Hello, it is. So this is, a good demonstration of that. So as far as the lessons in the book, I did like that, as far as the powerlessness that kids feel, I do think that it's good for adults to maybe remember that feeling when they're dealing with their children, but then also too for kids, like I think maybe when they understand that a lot of the boundaries that we create around them are for their safety and is for, their betterment, like maybe having those conversations does create a better sort of space where we can exist as adults and children.
Do you listen to any parenting podcasts?
I don't.
Okay, so there's one I listened to called Dear Old Dads, and it's 3 dads, and they were just talking about like a lot of the challenges they have with their kids, and one of them with the younger ones is kids snatching stuff from their siblings and like kids at daycare and stuff like that. They'll just, kids, they're like, mine. Like, I want that. And you are just scenery. So give me that. Yeah. And so they were, one of them pointed out, you have to think from a kid's perspective, how many things are just taken from them throughout the course of the day and how that's just perceived as normal because they're like, oh, you can't have that. Give me that. And so just, starting to have a conversation with your kids around like, hey, I'm not just taking that because I want it. It's because it's time to go. Right. It's time. Right. We can't take that with us because I'm not going to buy it. Yeah. Or, just whatever situations where a lot of times where, like I said, in our minds, we're trying to get to the next thing. So you're just thinking it's like, I'm bigger than you and I'm just taking this. Yeah. So.
And sometimes it is just that. You know? But then also, too, like, I feel like in moments when I can't explain things to my kids and it's like, okay, I'm just snatching this and we're moving on, I'm going to double back and say, hey, remember earlier when we were at the store, the reason, you know what I mean? Like, I will go back and say that to my kids because I do feel like it's important. For one, I don't want, it's, at some point, the dynamic does shift with parents and children. At some point, I'm going to be at their mercy because maybe I am losing my mind or maybe I need their help. And I want to feel like they want to keep an open dialogue with me and keep things respectful. So I feel like I want to be able to create that in our relationship now so that if they still decided to invest in me as adults, they'll consider how I feel, and look at it like, well, mom is old and she, I can see why she thinks that we're doing this to maybe be mean, but she might crash into somebody. So it is time to take her keys because it's dangerous. And so like if I don't model to them that now, then it'll be harder for them to have a space to pull from, So I'm hoping that I'm building in that sort of a goodwill in our relationship. So I liked that message of just, conflict resolution and people not necessarily having to always agree, but also being able to see like, hey, the path that you're taking and the path that I'm taking are different and there's different things that we can get, but we're going to get to the same place, know, and everybody thinks that their choice is the right choice.
Right. So. No one thinks it's like, I'm the villain today, even though I do feel like I'm kind of entering to my villain era a little.
Okay, I like it.
Once again, like that whole CEO debacle, that had me kind of thinking like, ooh, maybe we should just take down Gotham.
My God. honestly, it did make me think about Penguin too, because I'm like,
Word.
a little bit.
Me too.
You know, it's diabolical out here.
It
guys. The
is.
millionaires.
I mean,
y'all
'cause
better
what
watch
do
your
you-
backs.
I
man.
mean, I'm just saying these. I've been calling them CEOs.
Woof. Woof.
It ain't safe. It ain't safe.
Listen, and with great power becomes targets on your back.
Exactly.
For real.
My whole thing is too, though. I think people should be reminded that like healthcare doesn't have to be a profit center. Like, I think that is what, like I said, we here at the Fab Podcast, we do not condone violent vigilante actions. We are, however, entertained by them. I mean, that's what Batman is.
Yeah, we're
you
talking
know
about
what
Batman.
I mean? Like, yeah. Well, I mean, even this dude, like whoever this
I'm
guy
talking
is.
about Batman.
Okay. I'm just talking about the Central Park shooter, man.
I know you are.
Like that dude, and that is, I'm sorry, this is intriguing.
It's intriguing.
Because I'm like, what's really going on? But at the same time, we can't go around shooting each other.
You just can't, guys.
You just can't.
Can't shoot your way out of this. That's what Ken always says.
No. You can't murder your way out of situations. No, it's not cool. But yeah, that thing. But we did have another book too.
We did, but let's rate this one real quick.
Oh, 5 out of 5 Blades of Grass.
Of who?
Blades of Grass.
Oh, Blades of Grass. You said
What did I
that
say? Let me
Blades
say
of
it
Grass.
weird. Let me say it normal.
Okay. You already said it weird.
I'm giving it, I'm normal sauce now. I'm giving it 5 out of 5 blades of uncut grass.
Aw, I'm
Yeah.
giving it 5 out of 5 teddy bears.
Oh,
Little
Walters.
Walters.
It's funny how the teddy bear had a name and the little boy didn't.
Yeah,
That was
it's
cute too.
I like
You know what also reminded me of a little bit? Winnie the Pooh.
Okay.
You know? Because he's got like a
Adventure,
little bear
Winnie
he's
the Pooh.
talking to.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Christopher Robin.
Yeah.
I forgot about him.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Thousand Acre Woods.
I'm with you now, friend. I'm
Yeah.
back.
And
Okay.
he like had a little teddy bear he talked to and,
Yeah.
you know, stuff like that.
Good
But
book, guys. Good book.
yeah. Good
That
job,
was
Trevor.
very good. I
You
love
keep
it.
doing what you're doing.
What a level-headed
Yeah,
young
hang in there, man. You're gonna make it one day.
We like him. All right, guys. So let's get into this second book here. The book is You Are Actually Quite Small. This book is by Kelly Collette, and it is a heartfelt children's book designed to comfort readers of all ages, particularly those dealing with anxiety. Through gentle, reassuring prose, this book reminds readers that their worries and mistakes are smaller and less consequential than they may seem, providing a calming perspective. This makes it suitable for children at bedtime or adults seeking a soothing reminder during stressful times.
Yeah.
Very nice. Okay, so a little bit about our author quickly, guys. Kelly Collette is a multifaceted comedian and writer hailing from Cincinnati, Ohio. Let's go Midwest.
Ooh,
Okay. She has built her career in comedy, performing at prestigious festivals like the Limestone Comedy Festival and San Francisco Sketch Fest. Collette was Cincinnati's City Beat's Best Comedian in 2020 and is known for her thoughtful storytelling, which extends to her book. She has also gained recognition as a playwright and artist, showcasing her creativity in various mediums.
Including Harder Brunch. That's what I know her from.
Let's go. Shout out to her.
Yeah,
Thanks,
she
guys.
was at the Harder Brunch Adult Summer Camp.
Yeah.
And I'm going to read the back of the book because it's really cute.
Okay, do it.
In your hands, you hold a tiny book of comfort for the days that feel uneasy. Read this, breathe, and remember that the universe is big and you, dear friend, are actually quite small. Kelly.
Aw, I like it.
I really, it was a lot shorter than Into the Uncut Grass, but I would still recommend it for holiday gift buying, especially for bedtime.
I was gonna say, what are your favorite kind of bedtime stories? I feel
Dr.
like
Seuss.
Okay,
Dr.
is good.
Seuss. Oh, yeah, all day. Those were always the go-to. In fact, it was funny because I think I was telling you I was listening to Enemy in Paris, which is a Emily in Paris Hate Watch podcast.
Oh yeah.
Hosted by Sam and Beck Hill. They're very, very funny. And he was giving her a synopsis of Dr. Seuss's story about the Sneetches.
I remember the Sneetches.
And she wasn't familiar because she's a foreigner from Australia. But he was explaining the story to her, and it was so funny to me that he had such a different message from the book than I did. Because to me, I always saw it as like a metaphor about bigotry and like racism. But he took it as a like an allegory about the grass is always greener on the other side.
What kind of a message is that? Like, that would be a terrible, like, why would you, do you know what I'm saying? Like, because I thought it's supposed to be that the grass isn't always greener.
Oh, is that what I said? Well,
You said the grass is always greener on the other side.
Right, I said it wrong. That the grass isn't greener.
Oh, because I'm
like we perceive that it is, but it's not.
Oh, okay.
But it's
which is part of that, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, it's not always greener. You think because people have maybe privilege
stars on
or
their
whatever,
bellies.
yeah, that like they don't have problems or that they're not miserable or whatever. But yeah, that's the nice thing about art. It is subjective.
But I think
people get different
with the
stuff from it.
Sneetches, they did create an apartheid. Like the non-Starbelly Sneetches couldn't play on the beaches.
That's sad.
Like it was about where you
Hate to
could
see
and couldn't go and who couldn't and could play with each other. And that was really sad because then the small Sneetch children, they wanted to play with each other, but they couldn't. And then Professor McMonkey McBean shows up into town with his Starbelly machine. And so he's able to sell stars to the non-Starbelly Sneetches. And so then the regular Starbelly Sneetches are like, actually it's cooler to not have stars in your belly. And so he just keeps, taking money and changing everybody's bellies until they run out of money and he leaves town. Everybody's like, you know what, this is dumb.
This is real stupid.
This is dumb.
I hate it a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, and that's not the book we're actually talking about. But, so Dr. Seuss books have always been super popular at my house. I know for sure when I was reading bedtime stories in particular, I liked ones that were short, if possible. Okay. And not because I don't enjoy reading, but it's also by the end of the day, if you have small children out there, you guys feel me, right? Y'all know how it is where you're like, okay, let's wrap this shit up.
Because
right?
I would be going to sleep too.
This is amazing.
Yeah,
when I say that
perfect.
This is a really great bedtime book, just from the perspective of, for one, the message is on point.
Look at that. That's so
The
relaxing.
graphics, or not the graphics, what are the illustrations?
Illustrated by Laura Sanders.
Shout out to you,
great.
Laura. You did great. You want something that's short and sweet because your kids are already trying to stretch out bedtime. But I like the themes of this book because it does touch on, the anxiety that you feel in your day. And I think that's relatable to adults and children. Mm-hmm. And I think when you are quite small, sometimes your anxieties seem huge, right? Because you have nothing to compare them to. Like, your feelings are so big. So I think it's good to be reminded that, like, you actually are quite small. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean you're not important, but it's like you might be giving this a little too much attention. Like you care about this a lot more than anybody else around you. And I feel like that's a message that I can sometimes hear myself as an adult, because I will be, dragging myself about certain things. And it's like, I'm pretty sure no one else.
What is it?
No one else cares, yo.
What is the Neil song?
Nobody's mad at you. Nobody's mad at you. You're having a private experience.
Nobody's mad at you. Nobody's mad at you. Nobody really gives a fuck.
The way he says the F word is iconic. Neil, thank you for that.
It really helps.
Really punctuates things. But yeah, you can't sing that to your kids, but you can read this book to them.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And it really just goes through how, and giving you an example. Like, even if you're like the juiciest peach at the state fair, it's like, if you're in a cornucopia of vegetables and fruits, maybe you're not. It's not that big of a deal. Mm-hmm. So it's a simple and sweet message that I think still resonates, even into adulthood, for sure. Tell me a little bit about why this was a book you wanted to add into this episode this week.
Oh, because I wanted to promote a lady.
Okay. I like ladies.
Yeah. Women, listen, women are down bad, like just all over the planet, whether you believe it or not. And it takes a lot to be like a woman out here, just making it on your own. And I was just like, you know what? Let me just go ahead. I'm pretty sure she's self-published.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
And also, to me, she's really funny. I actually enjoy her comedy.
Oh, good. And so you heard about her on the
Heart of
Brunch podcast. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
I always love when that comes full circle too. I'm trying to think. There was speaking of promoting ladies in their books.
You trying to look
to
up something by
figure out-
Nira Muhammad?
Yeah, because Nira is someone
Friend of the
who's
show.
been on our show, and we've had the pleasure of speaking with her, and she's so smart. I know she's a writer.
But yeah, I do want to really encourage people to, buy books. Like, we're a literacy podcast. Like, you should really get out there, like, buy books, go to your library, check out books, because that helps authors too.
Okay.
Not in your mouth, not Nyaya.
Nyaya, maybe?
Nyaya. I don't want to say it wrong, but yes, that's a very relatable
Okay, so yeah,
challenge with children because they are always constantly trying to put things in their mouths.
Okay, yeah, that is so cute. Yeah, so this is for, obviously the younger kids, but it says it's an ode to her daughter and all the other little explorers out there who learn by using their 5 senses. This is a book that all caregivers can relate to and enjoy with their little learners. Very sweet. So since we're, it just made me think, like, wait a minute. I know somebody we're following who I enjoy, Nira Muhammad, also had a book. So in the light of just, highlighting women who are out here doing the good work, writing books, creating stories for us, wanted to give her a shout out for that too. So I'll try to leave that in the description of this episode. But yeah, I think children's books are really important. I'm grateful that I had parents who, specifically my mom, daddy, no shade, but because you weren't the one reading to us and stuff like that. You were the fun one, right? We just talked about that. Mm-hmm. But my mom was so into, there was, reading, writing, all of those kinds of things, all of those basic things. And I do think that, that's one of the things that I feel like I agree with when we talked about parenting styles before and that chasm and stuff. That's one thing that I think I fall on their side with in terms of just making sure that you are, those core things like education, manners, all of those kinds of things are important. And I think we could use a little bit of that, a little bit more of that.
Yeah.
As we move through this digital age.
Ooh, I know that in sign language.
More. Mm-hmm.
We're also working on learning ASL.
We are not.
Yes, we are.
You are.
I'm going to force you to learn it from being around me. So yes, we are.
You can't frame it like that or I won't do it. Okay. This is what
I'm going to subtly manipulate you into learning ASL.
Okay, fine. Silky pimp me into it, friend, because gorilla pimping won't work. I will fight kicking and screaming.
But I do remember it because that's it's great for kids too before they're verbal, like more, eat, all that good stuff. Because that's pretty much my communication with my kids. It's like more food, please.
Yeah, I like it. Very, very sweet. This was a nice sort of reminder of that space that we hold with our kids. Because for me, like, nighttime always was and still is really sacred time for me and my kids. Because, as you unwind at the end of the day, you want to create a positive mental space for your kids, as their bodies shut down and they're resting and stuff like that. Because it can be
scary,
stressful.
and sleep can be scary.
It can be.
I remember that too. Like that last little moments before falling asleep, and I'm just alone with my thoughts. Terrifying.
Yeah. I've never really had trouble sleeping, but I do like the idea of just having, that dialogue with your kids and like easing them into their dream space or whatever with positive sort of energy so that they can wake up feeling good. So I really like tapping into this because that's one thing that's still really important to me. Like, I don't read to them before they go to bed, but I always do spend a little time chit-chatting with them before they go to bed. And of course, my husband's like, bitch, they're too old. Why are you back there? Let me alone. Sir, I say to you, let me alone.
Yeah.
Okay, in a few short years, they won't even be here.
Right.
So I am soaking up all of the goodness that I can. For as long as they want to sit and chat with me and hug me 3,000 times and give each other kisses and good night, I love you more and blah, blah, blah. We're doing all of those things. So if you're not a reader to your kids, I encourage you to get into it. It's such a sweet time. Kids really, really enjoy it. And it's I feel like it's an easy way. Like, if it's hard for you to make time to connect with your kids and really get on their level and have a moment where you're not parenting them, you're not directing them, you're just exploring this space with them and being with them, I think reading's a really good way to do that. So,
well, here's what I want to do right now. I want to take a break. And when we come back from the break, I want you to tell me what was your favorite book to read to your kids at bedtime.
Okay. All right. I like it, friend. We'll be right back. Guys, welcome back. Yes, friend, what a delightful episode. Like I said, I really enjoyed. You are really actually quite small. I felt like it was a good reminder that sometimes we do get our panties all in a bunch, and it might be a good idea to recognize that, you know what, the stakes are low. That's what you say. I quote you quite a bit in my life.
Thank you. You know what one of my clients call it? Catechisms.
Listen, that's yo. I'm almost feel like you
Because every once in a while she'll like write them down when I'm just saying stuff. Because I'll just be saying stuff.
But it's good to have, like, again, I say keep people around you who, you know, because what you end up doing, especially in childhood, this is why it is important to speak life into your kids and to control the narrative around the way that you explain the world to your kids, because your voice is the voice that they hear when they're talking nicely to themselves, when they're talking mean to themselves, all of those kinds of things. So when I think about that, that's why I will go the extra step sometimes, because this is the voice that we hear. So, you know, in your adult life, you do get to pick the people that you're around. So pick the people who speak life into you, man. Pick the people who, you know, like, you're like, damn, what would this person say in these situations, you know? So I do think it's important to have those sort of catechisms, if you will, to bring you through. And that's what this last book was really about, just really kind of reminding yourself to have that positive self-talk and, you know, remind yourself, it's all good. We got this.
And move with cult leader confidence.
That's right.
And you're not better than me. No, it's better. I mean,
wow. Wow. All right, so let's rate the book really quick before we move on to our next subject. I'm gonna give this book, I mean, because again, it's short and simple. I think in terms of a children's book for bedtime, it's absolutely perfect. It's really pretty. The pictures are awesome. So I'm giving it 5 out of 5. Tiny little smiles.
Oh, that's nice. I'm gonna give it 5 out of 5 fluffy little clouds. I love a happy little cloud.
Very nice, friend.
Yeah.
Good work. All right, excellent. So now that we've moved through the meat and potatoes of this episode, you guys, we want to bring you back a little segment that we like to call
Home Training for That Ass.
Boom. And this is so funny because this is super random, but I'll let you tell them, friend.
So yeah, when I came over today, there was just, you know, books lying around like you do at Moni's house. And it was this book called How to Speak Politely and Why. Oh, big fan. I was like, I picked it up immediately and started reading. Love it by it's cursive. I'm not great at reading that. Is it Monroe?
I know the font is a little bit, let's see.
Is it Monroe? Is that Monroe Leaf?
Yes.
I'm going to say Monroe Leaf.
Mm-hmm.
Good job, Monroe Leaf. Very just...
It's zany.
Here's the thing. The reason why I started the home training segment is because I'm noticing a lack of it out there. Like, for all the authoritarianism in parenting, it seems like a lot of politeness isn't being taught. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I think the best way to teach politeness is to be an example of it.
Sure.
I try to be polite when I'm speaking to and around my children, and just in general in life, because it makes life better. I think that's the why behind it. Manners makes life better.
It does.
And it's just better. And then the way you talk to others tends to be the way you end up talking to yourself. So I can't recommend this enough. Like, yeah. I'm going to try not to steal it. I'm going to get my own copy. But yeah, this is just absolutely fantastic. Give it to, this is something you should have in your home, and buy it and gift it to others.
So if you had to glance through the book quickly and give our listeners one dose of home training that you think would apply to perhaps children and adults, because I think that what you're tapping into is very much an issue, because, you know, when we're out and about, like, let's say one of my pet peeves is people having their stuff on speakerphone. We may have talked about that before. Mm-hmm. Or even just like if I'm checking out at, say, Kroger and I'm on the phone, I'm going to end my phone call so that I'm not on the phone while I'm checking out. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Or even just looking people in their eye or saying hello, or, you know, even phone etiquette, stuff like that. Like when you have other, you know, because now we don't have home phones anymore, and people, like, say you have small kids, they don't have their own cell phone. You have kids texting and calling your phone. You gonna learn some manners if you contacting me. Hello, yes, who is this?
You gonna respect me, little child.
Name yourself. Who you are, state your business. Who are you? Who are you calling for? This is my phone. Okay, great. Nice to meet you. Like, just the basic sort of things that I feel like were, I mean, honestly, there was no choice in it. Like, this was stuff we had to do. So, again, this is the kind of stuff that I feel like, I tap into. This is my more old school stuff, like when it comes to being polite, speaking when you're spoken to, or at the very least, hello. I'm not saying have a whole ass conversation, but acknowledge people's presence, all of those kinds of things. It just makes life nicer. And it gets people off your back too quickly. If you don't want them in your face, then just go ahead and do the little polite stuff, and so you can move on with your day.
That's usually with the motivation for children when they're just like, I want this to be over.
I want it to be over. Talk about being powerless. Your manners will get you there a lot of the time.
Yes. I think I like the personification of all of these words.
Yeah.
But I think the idea of like just saying please goes so far instead of being like, yeah, and yes, please. I think that was the name of Amy Poehler's book. I think she did a whole thing about how yes, please. That's so different than yeah. And it does help you in the long run to treat people well, not just because it'll get you what you want, but because it'll make you feel better. Even, I think that was something I posted around Thanksgiving about how saying thank you makes you appreciate the meal more. You know, like just taking that moment to actually feel gratitude not only helps the person who provided the food, but it also helps you because you're, taking time to be mindful. So that's all. Just take a little time to be mindful. Give somebody a little smile. It doesn't have to be like a whole thing, but it just makes having pleasant interactions during the day just makes life better.
Yeah.
Instead of just being like,
One of my pet peeves though from little kids is my thing is say the words, please. I do not like the head nodding because more than likely I may or may not be looking directly at you. And even when I am, you don't have beads in your head that I can hear that are shaking side to side. So if I ask you something, yes, please, no.
Make sure.
Just say the words.
You know I'm communicating with you.
We're speaking correct and we're looking at each other. So
you
have
said that with
contact.
children. I have that problem with adults that I was married to.
Y'all are weird.
Like I need to, it's like, I can't just, you should make sure I heard you or picked up on what you were communicating. Don't just assume I saw or heard that.
Yeah, or that I understood. I may have saw and heard and still don't know.
I have audio processing stuff. Like you need to make sure I see you. Like even the thing is too, and for people who are maybe, because a lot of children, they're not audible, right away. That's when sign language comes in, but then you have to be looking, I that's what I love about ASL is how intentional you have to be.
Yeah, you do. Because
you can't just be like, okay. No, it's like, no, I have to be locked in because I have to look at everything you're doing to catch that.
Yeah. So guys, it doesn't cost anything to be polite and to remember manners in life because it's already ghetto out here. Don't contribute to that. It's like throwing trash out your window.
Yeah.
Don't do that. It's
there's always so much trash.
There's already so much trash. Okay, so I'm trying to think, do I show you my surprise now or do we spin the wheel?
I don't know because I don't know what the surprise is.
It's a book you gave me a long, long time ago.
Word. Okay, let's do the wheels so we don't forget.
Okay, that is so smart, friend. Spin it.
Woo. Okay, so on a whim, I suggested this. I was so glad you were down for it. We're going to be watching Imitation of Life.
Oh my God, one of my favorites.
I don't know there's two versions of it. I should have looked up before I did, but this is the one with Doris Day and Mahalia Jackson. Those are the people I remember. And Lana Turner. So that version of Imitation of Life, which is
Here we go.
There we go. Yeah, the 1959 version of Imitation of Life. I cry every single time.
It's so good.
It's so good. You guys, it's a great Christmas movie about about racism.
Period. You'll have to come back next week to find out why this is a festive.
Why?
Oh my God.
So good, guys.
It's so good. For real.
No, but for real. And the fashion. Oh, I'm probably going to dress up. Are we going to dress up?
I don't know. Oh my gosh.
So
I
don't
can't even
know.
get into it. Maybe,
I just loved it so hard.
I'm already looking forward to next week. Hopefully you guys are too. And before we get out of here, you guys, I just have to bring this book up because this was before I actually had my first child. That my friend brought me
now
this
I
book.
know what it is.
And this book is by...
it's an adult children's book. Adult picture book.
Yes. And if you're on YouTube, you see the nice cover here, but it's called Go the F to Sleep. Okay, by Adam Manchback.
And I think there's a version on YouTube where you can hear Samuel L. Jackson reading it.
Oh my God. And I might try to leave that in description for you guys.
It's pretty great. Because it just captures a lot of the
Honestly,
ethos of the end of the day.
when
Where
I
it's just
say-
now, quite honestly, I really try to plan the day out so that they just collapsed at some point. But sometimes some children, it is such a struggle. They do not want to
they are
surrender
fighting
to
it.
the sweet embrace of Morpheus. So you have to.
And what I'll say about this book, so reading this prior to having an actual child, like I'm pregnant and I'm reading this, I'm thinking, oh God, I am so nervous. I already was, but it was like, but it hits so, it's like, yes, to this book. I think all parents should just have a copy of this just for their own
Yeah.
entertainment and mental sanity. Like, you're not crazy. You do want your kids just to go the fuck to sleep at some point, and there's nothing wrong with that because you're tired and you've done a lot and they're precious, but you never love them more than when they're asleep.
Oh, they're so. I still
just
now
never
love
do.
watching my children sleep.
So
It's so great.
shout out to you for that book.
Thank
that was just a classic
you.
moment.
I think I got you and baby mama that.
Yeah, in the history of our friendship, that was one of my faves. So just had to shout that out really quickly here, you guys. So yeah, what a walk down memory lane with the children's books. You guys, hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Maybe drop your favorite children's books in our description of this episode. Let us know what kind of books you like reading to your kids. Were there any standouts? What was your favorite children's book? Did you ask me that? Did I ask you?
Oh,
to
I
read
asked
your
you
kitties?
that. Okay,
Yeah.
so wait, we didn't answer it. I asked it before the break.
Okay,
so
let's answer the question everyone's been waiting for.
Okay, so Moni, what was your favorite book to read to your kids? when they were
My
little?
favorite book to read to my kids was Goodnight Moon. And I think the reason why was because it was the perfect combination of being short enough. The pictures, like even the setting, it's like a nighttime in this cozy room, and everything in there from the mittens to the kittens to just all the stuff. And it has a nice cadence to it. Like there's this rhyming. So it's almost like a trance.
Yes, because
It's
I
a
would be
very,
so
like,
sleepy. Did you? A lot of times after reading the books, I would be ready for
like,
bed,
I'm
even though I needed
tired.
to do about 27 more things
Seriously.
before I passed out.
Yeah, so that book by Margaret Wise Brown, illustrated by Clement Hurd, was one of my favorite ones to read to my kiddos when they were really small. So same question to you, friend. What was your favorite book?
So my favorite, it was a little longer, but it was the Dr. Seuss classic, I Had Trouble in Getting to Sola Salou. And it's not a super popular one. It's one we kind of discovered from the library and then ended up buying. And I actually went to her kindergarten class and read it for Dr. Seuss Day. But I liked the message of it because the character's trying to get to the banks of Sola Salou I had trouble in getting to Sola Salou on the banks of the beautiful River Wahoo, where they never have trouble, at least very few. You can tell I read it a lot. And it was this idea of running away from your troubles, but your troubles are always going to catch up with you. There's no
AKA you can't shoot your way out of this.
you can't shoot your way out of it. You can't run away. There's no perfect place where you're not going to have any troubles.
Period.
No matter,
that's a good
because
one.
the character ends up getting there, and then there's of course problems. So eventually they just go back home, and it's like, you know what? Now I realize all my problems are going to have problems with me,
Period.
and that's how it ends. They end up showing back up with a stick. I liked that energy.
It's like it's still here.
It's popping now. Like, guess what? I've been on a journey, and now I'm coming back for all y'all.
It's that full circle moment, just like the Trevor Noah
It
book.
is. So it was a little bit
I like
because
it.
I remember whenever that one come out, because it was her favorite because it was the longest.
Of course, because they're trying to milk that time. At the
Yeah,
end of the day.
but it was my favorite because it had the best message.
I love that. That's so
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Thank you for sharing. That was
Yeah,
awesome. What a
yeah.
good question. So yeah, you guys, if you have your favorites, drop them. Let us know what your favorite children's books are. I'm looking forward to next week. I mean, guys, we're getting dangerously close to the holidays, so I'm grateful for next week having like a rewatch of a movie that I know is great that I'm gonna love talking about. And yeah, man, it's the
And like I
countdown to
said, and
Christmas.
maybe we'll make our kids watch it because I feel like I watched it
Yeah.
when I was pretty young.
Oof, yes, yeah.
It messed me up, man.
It's pretty crazy, but I think it's an important movie. I think the lesson in it is crazy, and it kind of touches on what we're talking about now, like the grass being greener and getting certain privilege. You know, it taps into the stuff that we talk about a lot on our show. So I'm excited to explore that narrative with you guys, and hopefully you'll be back next week. Excited to hear from us, just like we're always excited that you guys tune in. So thank you for that. And I think we're gonna finally let y'all go. I know y'all got stuff to do. I mean, hopefully you got to take a break and do some things you love. If you haven't, take time to do that.
because your body belongs to you.
It absolutely does. So We'll see you next week, guys. Peace.
Before we go, we must give thanks
Thank you
to Urban Nerd for providing our music, and legal services were handled by Trezanae M. Atkins. If you like what you heard, please feel free to join us every Wednesday for another fake-ass book club. Cheers.
Thank you guys for listening. You can check us out at thefabpodcast.com. Please subscribe, rate, and review our podcast wherever you're listening right now. We want to hear from you. Come put it in our life. Thanks again, and until next time, peace, love, and the Fake Ass Book Club. We out.